Ladies and gentlemen, this is a weird moment right now. This might be the last retrospective we ever react to on this channel. Patrick Smith has threatened me with legal action for reacting to his videos anymore, and there's just some crazy drama going. No, I'm just kidding. Literally, this is the last retrospective. I thought Revelations was coming out, but I'm sorry, Mr. The Smith Plays, if that even is your name. Let's take a look at your channel, shall we? Excuse me, 1 month ago is your last retrospective? I was going to do a little double feature of both GOROD KROVI and Revelations, and there's just nothing. Revelations isn't coming out. Black Ops 4, I don't even know if Pat played Black Ops 4, so how can you retrospective? I don't know what to do. I'm literally sitting here, jaw agape, aghast at the gonads on this man to just leave us high and dry like this with no retrospectives. But with that being said, you guys have been asking for it. This is it. The final Zombies retrospective. I'd love to be proven wrong, Pat. This is all in your hands. You know we love it. Please keep us reaction streamers alive.
Known by many names.
Let's do this.
But I know it as Stalingrad, City of Blood.
GOROD KROVI is the fourth and final Primus character map, and oh boy, does it mark a shift in tone. Whereas Zetsubo was bleak, somber, and dull, GOROD KROVI marks a return to the old days of COD Zombies with vodka, over-the-top gameplay, and dragons? Plain and simple, GOROD KROVI is the
Bro, that's actually a really good way to put GOROD KROVI. It's literally an old Zombies map with new elements to it, like in terms of Easter egg, in terms of wonder weapons. That's actually a really good way of putting it.
Black Ops 1 Zombies map of Black Ops 3. In fact, GOROD's roots actually go back even further, seeing tons of inspiration drawn on from Derice. It's bold and is still to this day the last original Ether Zombies map. GOROD KROVI is a great map for sure, but despite all this, I've always personally felt that it's not quite as good as some make it out to be. While amazing, I've come to believe that it isn't quite an equal with the likes of Jason Blundell best. And so today we'll be skydiving into the map, doing a full analysis, and seeing just where it lines up in the great scheme of Treyarch's catalog so far.
Okay.
And lastly, before we get into it,
GOROD
today's
KROVI
video is
slander there.
sponsored by Honey. What is
Today's video is sponsored by the YouTube skipping system.
Thanks for sponsoring this one, and now let's get into it. GOROD KROVI makes a huge first impression.
No, but for real, go check out the video and
the opening
support
shot of the cutscene being our
and
main
stuff.
for characters flying out of a portal to the theme of Motorhead. Ace of Spades blares in the background as they try to secure Peter McCain's parachute and land safely. We get to see our original Nikolai in a giant mech destroying zombies. They even cut the background audio to make it sound like Nikolai is listening to that song as he fights. There's amazing shots of dragons, and more so than anything, I think the tone
the cinematics
is just
are
set.
so
The GOROD
good.
intro tells us that this map is returning to the old school days of zombies. It's going to be over the top and almost caricature-esque. Intro cutscene is one of the greatest of all time.
Very
it
true.
probably fires me up more than any cutscene ever. And even if you don't agree with me on that, at the very least, for the first time since Shadows, we're given a great introduction piece. And so overall, I just think it does a really good job of getting players excited to go into and explore the map. Now, despite that crazy intro, I wouldn't say that GOROD is quite as over the top as it initially makes you feel. It lets you know that these moments are there. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that GOROD completely returns to the themes and motives of, say, Kino der Toten. GOROD still has some serious tones, which are experienced mainly through the soundtrack and storyline. But still, it does.
Before Pat goes any farther, I want to know what is it that y'all like so much about GOROD KROVI? Because I like GOROD KROVI. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong at all. I love GOROD KROVI. But Pat's right. It has kind of received this overhyped status in the community where I don't think people actually remember how they felt about the map whenever they were actually playing it regularly. You know what I mean? Like whenever the game was fresh and everybody was playing all the DLCs a lot. GOROD KROVI wasn't actually that big. You know what I mean? Like GOROD KROVI wasn't actually this like crown jewel map, and I almost think like tell me if you guys agree on this. I almost feel like JC has single-handedly infected everybody else into thinking GOROD KROVI is like literally 10 out of 10 the best masterpiece ever. It's a great map, don't get me wrong, but it's not a perfect map. And I want to know if you guys agree with me on that, because I think if you really sit there and think about it, GOROD KROVI is not the 10 out of 10 masterpiece it's hyped up to be. But
both.
Maybe
With
I'm
wild
wrong.
shows from
Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see the comments if you guys appreciate that slander.
Times here. So I think ultimately GOROD tells you that it's going to have a little bit of both. At times, it's going to be the most over-the-top that Black Ops 3 will get, but it's still dynamic enough that it can throw some seriousness in when it needs to. Most importantly, I think the over-top brashness of the intro goes to introduce you to a return-to-old gameplay. GOROD KROVI sits as the most Black Ops 1-like, non-Black Ops 1 map, and so I think this is what we should look at first. So while Horizon Draft often gets most of the praise for being the simple, beginner-friendly map, I think GOROD really goes unnoticed in this area. DE has a simple
I think GOROD is way harder than DE.
Wonder weapon, but it gets pretty complex from there.
Mostly because DE is
GOROD,
pretty easy.
Despite actually being really hard and having a complicated Easter egg, is more of a straightforward map on the gameplay side. So let's dive deeper, shall we? So, GOROD KROVI is basically complicated Doritos. I know that might sound weird to you, but it will make sense. Weighing it at a modest 23 Nocturne totals, GOROD KROVI is actually the
23
Black Ops
NDUs? You
map.
just dropping that
so the
info
map
on us already,
has
Pat?
3 wings or branches.
What's going on?
There's the middle and main dragon command
I was waiting all
with
video for that
Sophia
last
and the
time.
Easter egg screens.
Huh?
To the right, there is the library-like looking supply area, and to the left, we have the industrial tank factory. Now, looking back to Doritos, do you notice how the map has a similar structure? There's the middle wing, which is the catwalk area, complete with teleporter and quick revive, and then there are the other 2 side branches.
It's kind of like a 3-lane zombie map if you think about it.
Branch off of a central main area that is connected.
Where's
to
like your spawn point.
GOROD KROVI might be bigger and a little bit more complex, but it essentially has the exact same layout.
Pretty good
Overall,
layout.
I feel like GOROD KROVI is laid out decently, but not the greatest. Tank and supply are connected rather awkwardly to the rest of the map, and it's hard to get from them to spawn. Overall, the map is laid out pretty well, but I've always wished that there was a direct route from those 2 side wings to spawn. Now, things get even more interesting when we
There's kind of like the quick travel system a little bit. Not really, actually.
So on Doritos, you must go to
Much
one of
slower
the
than
wings,
just running.
activate a timer, and return to spawn to link the pad. GOROD KROVI has a slightly different end goal, but it plays very similarly. You insert a command rod into a machine at the wing area, which is the equivalent of going to the teleporter on Doritos. Instead of then heading to spawn, however, you must defend the GOROD module at a random location. So do you see the similarities? Each have 3 total phases, each require you to head to all of the wings of the map, from which fast movement to another location is then required. The last similarity is most striking, however. On both maps, those 3 wings then serve as a fast travel to Pack-a-Punch. On Doritos, one can use a teleporter to quickly get there, which very closely mirrors the Dragon Ride, which, by the way, may I add, is a very cool cutscene, is one of the many ways GOROD is over the top.
Yeah,
now, moving to GOROD's
riding on a dragon to a new area.
The biggest thing is its placement of the Wonder Weapon.
Come on.
Box Wonder Weapons is one of the most defining features of Black Ops 1, and I think people were excited for this to return. Well,
this is the first one in a while as far as box Wonder Weapons.
It was a smart choice for this map. For new maps, we hadn't seen a box Wonder Weapon since Buried, and so BO3 was in need of a map with this simple design. Now, as far as the Mark III goes, it's basically an overpowered weapon that makes you incapable of dying until it's not. The Mark III is ridiculous,
until like round 50,
but only for the first 40 rounds. And while a lot of people have their
still useful up to round 50,
it's not good enough, I actually think that it makes sense. The purpose of the Mark III is to be really...
So what the Mark III does so well is it fits into the game that it was put in so well. Like, I don't think it would hold up very well at all for, like, say, Black Ops Cold War. I don't think it holds up at all for that. But I think it works perfectly for this game because in terms of the alternate ammo types being so good and the alternate ammo types kind of being the wonder weapon that you want to use to get to high rounds, this basically being the round 1 through 50 OP gun And then from there, you kind of transition into being fully set up and using those alternate ammo types. I think is a perfect transition. It works perfectly
good for
BO3.
everything except high rounds. Up until about round 40,
yeah, it's good for everything
black
except
hole
for
makes it so you can hardly
high
die
rounds.
while
Yeah,
camping.
exactly.
So it's
good for
okay
everything
in
except
that
being a high
category.
round gun,
What
which
does
every
make
other
it
gun in Black
balanced,
Ops
though,
3
is that
is,
it
so it
has
works.
this fall off. You can't rely on camping with this thing through to round 100, and so that actually makes it pretty fair, especially because GOROD is the hardest
that's a
Black
good-looking
Ops 3 map.
screenshot
On the other
right
hand,
there.
though, it
Really
does
good-looking,
certainly
actually.
serve as a huge crutch weapon for early rounds and Easter eggs, which we'll get into a little bit later. But I would say at the very least, it's not a free round 70 plus like the Ice Staff, Stormbow, Liquefier, or upgraded Apothicon Servant. Now, GOROD KROVI also steps it up with all sorts of new items and features. The Guard of Fafnir is the first huge improvement over the original shield. The Rocket Shield of Shadows had been an interesting upgrade, but it did
It was
prove
horrible.
to be very practical.
It was
Whereas GOROD
absolutely
Shield shoots
horrible.
fireballs, making it both super helpful and incredibly true to the theme of the map. We also see the Dragon Strike, which is acquired from completing the 4 lockdown stages in the Pack-a-Punch house. It basically serves as a targeted artillery strike that attracts all the zombies to your
Kinda
area.
like
that
a
you lay
G-strike
down
grenade, a
on,
little bit.
essentially making it a once per
A little
monkey
bit, not
bomb.
a lot, but a
on
little
top of
bit,
that,
yeah.
it's cool. It actually gets a dragon to come over the map and breathe fire on the area you're targeting. And even more so, it can be upgraded with some relatively simple steps to become that much stronger.
Oh my gosh, that's a
I should also
baby
mention that
dragon.
the shield can be upgraded as well. Now, GOROD also brought in some
Oh, yeah.
weapons.
Bro,
we see the L4.
One of my biggest pet peeves with a lot of it's not even just Black Ops 3, because Black Ops 3 is a huge perpetrator of this. One of my least favorite parts about the upgrades and the side quests in Zombie, and even Black Ops Cold War has been doing this, where there's side quests that have really cool rewards and rewards you want to get, but they're so unbelievably tedious to do. Case in point, Guard of Fafnir. Guard of Fafnir, upgrading it is so incredibly tedious that I think I've done it once and never done it again. And then if you draw that similarity to Black Ops Cold War, in Black Ops Cold War, you have an upgrade to get a free golden gun, but it's so unbelievably boring and hard to get that nobody really uses it. I thought it was going to be good off the start, and then I realized, oh wait, this actually sucks to get. And it's just like, they put in these really, really cool Easter eggs, but they make them too hard to do that nobody is ever going to do it. I would love to see the number of people who have actually done the Guard of Fafnir upgrade, because it's not many.
A powerful explosive weapon, the NX Shadowclaw, which when pack-a-punched can revive downed allies, the FFAR, a beastly upgraded variant of the FAMAS, and most iconic of all, the return of my sweet, sweet PPSH. And so like Zetsubo, GOROD does a nice job of adding in weapons that actually incentivize you to hit the box. It was a major problem on DE, but especially with the Mark III being in there, there is ample reason to actually go for the box on this map. And actually considering how important the Mark III is to the Easter egg, perhaps even too much. The GK also has 2 new enemies.
The Mark IIIs, you basically, in order to do this Easter egg solo, you need one of 2 things. You need the Mark III, or you need to be, or one of 3 things rather. You need the Mark III, you need Undead Man Walking Gobblegum, or you need to be really, really freaking good and really, really efficient with your Easter egg steps to get it done as early as possible.
Angler is your classic mid-round boss. Relatively on the weaker side of these bosses, these guys spawn quite a bit more often to make up for their lack of power. While I can't say they're anything amazing, they fit the map pretty well. Valkyrie Drones are the second more interesting addition, and I can't say their presence is all that well regarded.
Exactly like this. You just need to slow down the zombies
because of their erratic behavior. Valkyries are pretty annoying and mostly just end up delaying rounds or getting in your way. Furthermore, I can't really say that they feel appropriate to the map. I just see no connection as to how they tie into Stalingrad.
I think there's a radio
now,
somewhere that talks about them. But
however, is GOROD also has equipable items for the first time ever. Dragon wings reduce explosive and fire
these were
damage.
cool, man.
There's the hat,
These
which
were
reduces
cool.
damage taken and increases damage delivered to Valkyrie
And they
drones.
were like
and
not
lastly, the Mangler
super
helmet
hard
does
to
the
get
same
either.
thing to its respective enemy.
I think
Overall, they're an amazing set.
the helmets and the wings and stuff like that stuff on GOROD is a perfect example of how to do side quests, because you get them naturally while playing. You can go for them extra specially hardly. You can like hone in and do it very, very easily. Oh, someone's at my door. Hello. Hello. Is there a man? Okay, there is a man. Chat. Chat. There's a man. Okay, he's leaving. All right, we're good.
Of new items. And
Oh yeah, it's all part of gameplay. It's all gameplay focused and gameplay based. So you're never being taken out of the game and forced to do something really, really erratic and weird.
The most original addition to the map. It's also worth noting that GOROD KROVI added time trials. These basically existed to challenge you to race to rounds in intervals of 5 for special melee
time
rewards.
trials were so good
Achieving
too, man.
any of these rounds in a certain amount of time would give you very cool weapons from multiplayer. And while I can't say that the melee weapons themselves were overly useful, the challenge themselves provided a really fun and new way to play zombies. Looking forward in the Black Ops Cold War, I really hope that we get a more structured version of this. And so with all this in mind, GOROD sits as a really strong gameplay-based map. It can be played as a camping or training map and is good for both beginner games or more advanced high-round stuff. GOROD just has so many different ways to play, and so in terms of gameplay, I think it's always stood slightly above DE. There's just something about training and camping strategies that feels very reminiscent here of the old days. There's enough here so that it feels fresh, but again, I would argue that a lot of this map is based on the philosophy behind Black Ops 1.
I mean, that's what melee weapons do to you.
You want
They're
to
so
take
bad.
a crack at the Easter egg, which we're now going to.
Oh boy.
The GOROD KROVI Easter egg is not like anything we had ever seen.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Because the Easter egg is most focused on gameplay, and so it provides a much different experience to anything we had ever seen. The Easter egg technically starts with the turning on of power. From here, players are able to do the Groff modules and access Pack-a-Punch. And so then the next step is the lockdown, where you go through 3 waves of defending the area from enemies, and then a final wave where enemies come from all 3 areas. Overall, it's pretty engaging, but I do find it to be quite drawn out. It takes almost exactly 5 minutes, which I think is just a touch too long for an opening step. You're just getting going into the flow of things, and the lockdown feels like it halts your progression. I think it might have been better if they only had
the
2
lockdown
first
wasn't a
stages
great
and
step.
then the final. This would shorten it to 3.5 minutes while still bearing the weight of the step. Now, from here we get to the most drawn out section of the egg. The egg. Acquiring the Gauntlet of Siegfried is a tedious process.
It's
So first you
literally
pick up
the entire Easter egg is getting the gauntlet. It's the entire Easter
From
egg.
here you need to place
It's
it
the
at a
longest
nest
part of
and
the
wait
Easter
for a
egg.
dragon to come breathe fire on it. This itself can take forever depending on how long it takes for the dragon to come. From here though, it gets even worse, as now you have to go through 1 full round for the egg to cool. You then have to go through 3 trials: collateral, melee,
trials
and
were
zombie
just,
kills.
oh my
Zombie kills
gosh.
are first, so this means that you must instantly then wait for another dragon. And then from there, you can finish the easier penetration and melee kill step. Now lastly, once this is completed, you must then take it back to the infirmary, do another quick lockdown step to wait
gosh,
yet
there's
another
so many,
full round
man.
before you can get the gauntlet. Honestly,
There's
this
so many.
process is longer and more drawn out than any single thing in Zetsubo. At the very least, you're spending 5 rounds on the egg, but that can easily turn into 6 or 7 if you make any mistakes. The only real redeeming
penetrating
feature of this
multi-kills
process
is so
the
annoying
fact that the
too.
gauntlet is amazing. A beastly power fist combined with a baby dragon that fights and collects things for you is a fantastic specialist ability. And I think really the reason people don't complain near as much.
It's the best specialist weapon with the worst steps, man. And I think what needed to be changed about it is there needed to be less tediousness in terms of the steps and more like difficulty, because the steps aren't really that hard. It's just tedious. Like there's a huge difference between like doing a really, really difficult and engaging lockdown and waiting for an entire round for the egg to cool, or getting a certain gun that can get penetrating multi-kills. And I don't know, man. It's probably my least favorite part of the map in terms of getting it, but one of my favorite parts once you actually get it.
They should with this step is because the reward makes it worth it. Now from
And you
here,
have to
it's
do it for
on
the
to
Easter
the
egg.
first real official step of the egg. This is turning on the generator downstairs of Pack-a-Punch in the infirmary to begin the valve step. From the perspective prior to this egg being beaten, back in the Z-House days, I would actually say that the valve step was hands down the best puzzle ever put into zombies. So, the perfect Easter egg puzzle is one that is near impossible to initially solve, but once understood can be done by anyone.
Yes,
the valve
sir.
step is
Dude, like, people don't know this. I have a bunch of world first in maps and stuff, but my greatest personal achievements are figuring out the attack of the radioactive thing chemical symbol the legit way, or everyone else was just guessing, like basically just throwing out random like things until something worked and then moving on from it, like not really learning how to do it. I figured out how to do the chemical step on attack of the radioactive thing, and I figured out how to do this step for real. Like I knew how to turn it. I didn't just randomly guess, and I actually got it. Two of my most cherished zombies Easter egg hunting experiences, and Pat's completely right. The perfect Easter egg step is hard to solve, but easy to replicate whenever you're doing it later.
Perfect example of this. This was a great step because it completely stumped the community, thereby prolonging the length of the Easter egg hunt. Nobody knew how it actually worked, and so it was really just guesswork. Eventually, however, after the egg had been beaten, someone devised a formula that solves the puzzle for you, and they realized that it's actually a pretty simple algorithm once you understand the way the valves are connected. And this is the beauty of the valve step. Ridiculously challenging to begin with, but now it's incredibly easy, assuming that you know the website to go to. I think the fact that you need to go to Milo's website just to beat this is, maybe a little bit much, but considering what the step did for the egg hunt and how easy it is to actually do, I think it works out pretty nice.
I don't like steps that are hard enough that they need to take you out of the game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like the fact that you need to get off the game and go look at other stuff. I think that's one of the beauties of Die Maschine. You don't need to exit the game or like have someone pause and read through an Easter egg guide, because once you know how to do it, you know how to do it, and there's no like checking. So these types of steps and multiple spawn points,
now from here,
I'm like a little, because it's just. It just takes you out of the game, and I'm not a huge fan of that.
Players must finish trophy collection. A very weird step in this egg. There are 6 seemingly arbitrary trophies located around the map. While their collection is altogether quite easy, it's another step that I believe deserves criticism, mainly because it doesn't really serve a purpose. Like, you need trophies so that Sophia can show you what to do on the next set of steps. Sure, it adds an element of collectathon to the map, but I don't know if it's what GOROD KROVI really needed. And at the very least, I've never heard anyone say, I sure do love the trophy collection step. Anyway, though, from here, we're finally to the
challenges. The challenges themselves are really cool.
Sophia's Trial of 6. This is probably the most polarizing step of the egg, so let's go through each one before I get
I'd love to know if you guys love or hate this step. I love it.
One of the first 5 possible steps you can
frustrating at times if you do it.
This step can be annoying as it can be hard to actually find him. I failed this step many times simply because I went to the wrong area of the map, and by the time I got to the other side, it was too late and the step was over. But assuming you do find him, this step is super easy. All you have to do is shoot his arm and he starts running towards you. While a tiny error like Electric Cherry's reload can make you fail, I think it's a pretty easy step once you know what you're doing. Now, next up we have the Valkyrie Drone. This is the first of Sophia's 6 that leans heavily on the Mark III. With that gun, all you have to do is spam the left attack that creates the ball to slow down zombies, and it's just dead easy. However, if you don't have the Mark III, this is a genuinely awful step. It is so hard, as you need to round up the zombies and slowly move the drone while making sure not to damage him. While easier as a team in any form, this is a rough step. Again,
that's a oof down right there.
Mark III. Now, next up we have
That's
the bomb
an oof
step.
down. I
One
just saw
of the
that.
most despised steps in this egg. The bomb step is unforgiving. If you press the wrong bomb, every player next to one instantly downs. In reality, however, there is a super easy workaround. Just don't stand in the room if it's not your bomb's turn. So while unforgiving, it's not that bad, especially since you can pause to write it down in solo. I like
Yeah.
the unforgiving nature of the step, and I like the pressure.
Bro,
it
first
creates.
time I did
what
this,
I hate
I
about
was
it,
like-
however, is that in solo, you usually have to run around the entire map twice. That's it. I'm literally just lazy. And like with these,
I'm
with
literally
step, I
just
hate
lazy.
running around the map. Especially because, again, GOROD does have a bit of an awkward layout. Now, next up, we have Gersh. First of all, I should mention that I absolutely love the
Gersh
bit of
is a
storyline we
cool-
get here,
cool
especially with how
storyline,
Gersh
yeah.
even recognizes you from Ascension. As for the step itself, again, this leans entirely on the Mark III. If you have it, you can do so much damage
Yeah.
to him so fast that he doesn't even move once you find him.
It's just-
this destroys the entire purpose of the step.
I don't know. I kind of think it's okay that the Mark III is this overpowered for the Easter egg because it's literally a wonder weapon. It's supposed to make you unbelievably powerful, and you have to get it out of the box as well. So once you get it, you're like having the God run, you know, type
And
thing.
then, as you
So,
probably guessed it, if you don't have a Mark
watching
III,
the
this
world
step
record
becomes
speedrunner for this
very
step,
challenging.
this
It's
map was
certainly
insane.
doable, but solo
Insane.
players will have their work cut out for them if they get unlucky with the box. Now, second lastly, we have the Graph module step. This is by far the best of the first 5. Gameplay orientated, this step creates an immersive challenge with a rewarding goal.
Yeah, it's like
really,
it's like
I
a
feel
sniping
like the
challenge
purpose of
almost.
these modes are meant to be mini games, and this is the only one that actually really feels like that. It's especially cool because you actually have to use your baby dragon to go get the piece from it. And while the Mark III again makes it dead easy, doing it with or without a team is overall still a really good time. And always last, we have the lockdown. Now, this should be a fantastic step. It should serve as the climax of the Egg's second act, mirroring the first time you visited the Pack-a-Punch and got your dragon strike.
super
Except now
easy.
with a beefed up kit, it can send more at you to make for a super intense time. Sadly, however, it's not. The game does not throw all that much at you, and even if they did, there is a
It's so
massive
easy.
exploit. The stage won't progress until you defeat all manglers, and so if you leave just one alive, you can run around the main floor until the download process is over.
Or
it's
even,
a great idea.
Even when if you do kill all of them, you can literally kill all of them so fast that you're just sitting there waiting for the download to finish. It's
for a step, but it's just annoying.
I wish
that
it was
can
a
be ruined with this
speedrunnable.
simple
Like, you
exploit.
would
And so
get it
after
early.
This, you will have finished Sophia 6. So as a whole, Sophia's Trial of 6 is either extremely easy or infuriatingly difficult. There's really no in between. More so, the fact that when you fail, you must then finish a full round to try again. Only
gets
makes
harder
this
and harder
worse.
and harder, you
This
know what I mean?
kills all flow of the egg, and when something as simple as an electric cherry burst can ruin the Valkyrie or Mangler step, I think the consequences are too high here. Beginner players can find themselves in deep water quick, only halfway through these at round 20. Like in comparison, the flag step on Shadows can be attempted infinitely, with ammo being the main restrictor. I just don't see why GOROD could have had the
flag
exact same
step on
thing.
Shadows,
Still,
I mean, it's
however,
just
this
one of the
entire
best
problem
steps
is
ever,
solved
man.
with Mega
It's so good.
Gobblegums or a ray gun Mark III. Whether that's a good thing, I don't really think so. Now, from here, you basically
boss
are on to the
fight.
boss
Okay,
fight, which
here
I
we go.
am incredibly split on. Let's look at the positive side first. GOROD's boss fight was the best spectacle we'd ever seen in zombies.
Yeah, it's an
Dragons,
insanely
giant
good-looking
mech suits,
boss fight.
What is not to love? As a concept, it's cool, and in the DE Retro, I even said it was the best. But I should clarify what my intention behind that statement was. What I meant was that GOROD has the coolest boss fight, but it's not the best. And that's because...
We are not the enemy, Nikolai. You will have to strike harder than that.
So the
Okay,
GK boss
dude.
fight is always
Okay.
brought up as a point to why it's the best Black Ops 3 map. But the fact
Never
that
goes
it's
down like
really
that though.
easy
I mean, I don't
is
know about you
alone
guys.
enough to-
I think I've done the GOROD Easter egg like 10 times, like 10 times more without the Ray Gun Mark III than I have with it, personally. And I think I like the boss fight more than
make
Pat
it
likes
overall
it.
second
'cause
best to DE. The
I mean,
dragon
that is
fight,
OP.
while again
That's
cool, is
unbelievably
itself
OP. But it's cool.
ridiculously easy
I like it.
with a ray
I like
gun
that it
Mark
exists.
III. You simply need to sit in a corner and spam the weapon until the dragon becomes vulnerable. From here, it's simply a few shots per sequence, and then you're done. Compared to a keeper sequence, which even itself can be easy, the dragon doesn't even have waves of juiced up panzers or anything in the like, so it just feels inconsequential. There is nothing that should be able to kill you here. And then after the dragon fight,
Yeah.
you have
Bro, on the first part, Literally, the biggest thing you have to watch out for is Nikolai accidentally blasting you as he's trying to hit the zombies. He can down you when you're not even fighting him yet. He can literally kill you before you're even fighting.
I think the fact that a normal Gobblegum can make this a 10-second fight is enough to, again, really diminish the overall greatness of this fight.
But it's something you learn about the map.
Despite
You know what I
it
mean?
being
You don't
an
have to
amazing
play it like that.
spectacle, the gameplay itself is just super disappointing. And I think it's the boss fight that actually has aged the worst on this map. Unlike Zet, GOROD has gotten worse with time. And so with all that in mind, we're left with the storyline to pick up on the slack on an otherwise imperfect egg. And to be honest, I think it actually does a pretty good job of that. GK does three major things for the storyline. First, it ties up some loose ends by explaining some of the side characters. We got Peter McCain, we got Gersh's fate along with Sophia, which actually is important because she plays a huge role in the next map. Next, GOROD finishes
weird
the
robot
four-character
lady.
quest arc. Our Primus crew get the fourth and final soul, setting up the stage for our finale map. And most importantly of all, well, at least coolest, we finally get introduced to Dr. Monty. And while he doesn't play a huge role here, I think his introduction is perfect. He's aggressive and meta despite still remaining extremely ominous. Good, because it is. Well, I don't really want to talk about his big revelation in BO4. In BO3, he is an instantly likable character. His monologue after the fight does a great job to set the stage for BO3's finale as well.
I'm Dr. Monty. Hello.
So nice
to see you all.
Or see you all.
Now let's also
Dude,
make sure to talk
that was
about
so
the
good.
ending.
It's a really good
Probably
reveal
my
for him.
second favorite of BO3. GOROD ends with a very sad and moving piece. We learn that the main reason for
something to
Nikolai's
talk about for the next
alcoholism
map
is
as well.
due to their wife being killed in the fallout of the war. This is a very powerful moment, as in a single stroke it makes the most stereotypical character of the Ultimus 4 instantly dynamic. No longer is he just the funny drunk Russian guy, but now all of a sudden it's sad, truly depressing. It also does the best job of representing the polarity between the two characters. You can almost apply it to yourself. Ultimate Nikolai is the worst version of you, the version of yourself that you would become if you gave in to all of your worst tendencies and tried to avoid truth. Primus Nikolai serves as an amazing foil to that personality as the best version of you. He symbolizes who we could become if we are to do our best and aim for a higher purpose. So it's sad, symbolic, and it represents the end of this giant four-person quest. So, in conclusion, I think this is a map that hasn't aged as well as some may think. That isn't to say it's bad, however. People often relate the word underrated to bad, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Underrated simply means that it's not as good as the masses' general consensus, and I believe that's exactly where GK falls.
Yeah, I think so as well.
It's a fantastic map,
Yeah.
but it's just not as perfect as people claim. Overall, I believe GOROD KROVI is played
I
best
agree
as
with
the
that
map driven for the
100%.
gameplay.
100%.
It draws on a BO1 formula with a Durice layout and modern Black Ops 3 features to make a truly amazing experience.
Yeah, I think
It's
he
also
summed
got
it up
great
perfectly.
storyline and
I
character
actually agree
development
with Pat
overall
100% on his
amazing visuals
consensus
and
on
a
this map.
grand
Unlike
sense
other
of
maps where I've
atmosphere. It's
disagreed,
installing
I think
ground.
Pat's right on the money here.
Bad. Really, my only reason I say the map is overrated is because I find the Easter egg and boss fight to be just not that great. It's trying to be a hard egg, but so many steps can
Man, if he thinks this boss fight's bad, what's he gonna think about Revelations?
be exploited with the Mark III, and so a lot of these steps ultimately land as tedious.
Dude, if you think the Nikolai anywhere but here with the Reagan Mark III is a little bit cheese, wait till he sees what you can do with the Death Machine on the last finale against the Shadow Man.
However, the underlying ideas of Sophia's
I want to see where's the retrospective, Pat?
And the boss fight is a grand spectacle. It's just unfortunate that with age, GK's egg has become entirely exploitable. And so, all in all, I really like this map. It's a true classic, and despite my criticism, is still good enough to make it into our top 5. With all that said, my final rating for GOROD KROVI is a
well, I was gonna guess where he put it, but I think I would have said, listen, now that I know where he put it, I still think I would have gotten that correct. I think based on everything he said, I think he would have put it in S tier. Would I put it?
9.4.
Would I put it in S tier?
S tier.
Would I put it in S tier? Yeah, I would. It's GOROD KROVI. The fact that Zetsbo is an S tier, though, is a little bit of an LOL, Pat, though. Let's be honest. GOROD, KROVI, and Zetsubo in Buried and Darius rather. One of these is not like the other. And I'm looking at you right there. So that was awesome. Bro, Pat, where is GOROD? KROVI's overrated, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Angry like noises intensify. Bro, it's not. I really do think that JC Backfire has influenced people to thinking this map is actually better than it actually is. I truly think that this map is not nearly as good as people say it is. Not nearly as good. But that's mostly because of how highly people praise it. It's a really good map still. I still think it's S tier, but people would think it's the greatest map of all time by the way they talk about it. So that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think down below. Make sure you guys subscribe to me. Subscribe to Pat if you haven't already. Maybe one day, hey, he just hit 3 million subscribers. Maybe one day he'll release the revelations. Gosh. Pain. Also, if you guys want to see me on the main channel do a little playthrough of the BO4 zombies maps with Pat so he can do his little review on them, let me know. It'd be kind of like zombies retrospective, but like 2.5, because he's not really retrospecting against them. He's more like seeing them for the first time because he never played them. So we'll see. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Hit that sub button, hit that like button. Do it to both me and Pat. Do it. Bye-bye.